and welcome to Spirit Lounge. I think the microphone's working fine there. I hope you guys are doing well. And to the penultimate presentation, there's one more after this, which we'll be doing straight after this one, which will finish off the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's a very short set of series of videos, unlike all the other series, but it's covering almost fundamentally most of the text. So let's get straight into this. This is going into biblical interpretations, I believe, which is various passages of the Dead Sea Scrolls, biblical interpretations, extracts of the Bible reinterpreted, or sometimes maybe even the same for those who have read the Bible. I have not, so I cannot tell you whether they are similar or not. So you can use your discernment there. The Dead Sea Scrolls, 1947, young Aaron Shepherd found them in the caves around Qumran, and so they were called the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Qumran Caves Scrolls. Written by a Jewish sect called the Essenes, who found themselves, who decided they deemed themselves the proper followers of the laws of Moses, the proper followers of true scripture, Judaic scripture, and found that those outside the walls of the Essenes community were not following the true way, and therefore they wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls with their interpretations, their followings, their scriptures around that. So this is going into the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are found in those jars. Okay, so Aramaic Bible translations, these are Targums. So these are kind of passages or bits of prayer, if you like. So Hebrew of Job: look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked where they stand. Well, I wouldn't take this. Let's just go through this very easily. The first one for me is look at everyone that is proud and bring him low. Once we decide to move towards that light, you will be brought down low. What does that mean? It doesn't mean below the foot. It doesn't mean demeaned. It doesn't mean denigrated. What it means is humbled. To know that we know nothing, to know our place in this universe, and to know that we are yet just an expression of the Father. Our ego, our pride, our self-righteousness, our virtue is brought to its place. We understand its place within this physical realm and that it has no place beyond it. This is what that first sentence would mean to me. And tread down the wicked where they stand. Well, this is not going to be something where we violently tread down anyone. What is the wicked? Well, in this, remember the text of the time, the mind of the time. This is anyone who didn't believe in the Essenes. Even those outside the walls, who were also Judaic, would be deemed as wicked. Or anyone who was not Jewish in nature was deemed as wicked. So this is again a mind of its time. Okay, 11, Kar Job, and every proud spirit you will smash, and extinguish the wicked below them. Again, the first sentence is what we've already discussed, and the second for me is a mind of the time. Okay, the Targum of Job. Remember that his works which they see are great. Remember every man looks at him, and the sons of men from afar search for him. Behold, God is great, and his days are numerous beyond knowledge, and the sum of his years is infinite. Behold, he counts the rain clouds, and he establishes the downpours. And his clouds let down drops of water on a multitude of people. If he who spreads the clouds of his thunder and spreads his light and covers, for by them he judges peoples. Well, I would take the first set of passages here. His works that are great, the manifestation of thought and intention. He looked, and sons of men from afar search for him, and every man looks for him. This is true. This is where they are seeking internally, but not really understanding what they're seeking. They look to the external, to the material to satisfy, when actually the true path is that inner calling that actually, to be honest, many people, the majority of the world, are blind to these days. They have truly been brainwashed into themselves, into this system, into this human world, has absorbed them. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and energetically, they cannot see anymore. They have become blind, deaf, and dumb. And God is great. His days are numerous beyond knowledge and infinite, because there's timelessness in that which is the all. There is no end, there is no beginning, there is no middle. There just is. And it continues, with it water he wipes the clouds and brings fire out of the cloud. He speaks and they listen to him and proceeds with their works. He appoints them over all that he has created on earth, either for striking or for benefiting the earth, either for famine or shortage, or for something good to be on it. Listen to this, Job, and arise. Observe the might of God. Do you know what God has put on them and how he has made light to shine from the cloud? Do you know how to robe the cloud with might? Because your robe, for he possesses knowledge, for you know how to beat the cloud to compress it into mirror. He knows. The last two passage sentences here are important. Knowledge and gnosis, compress the cloud into a mirror. What is this? For me, this is compress that which is God into a mirror of the self. And that within you is the breath of God, is the Spirit, which is a compressed fractal of the Father. The cloud to compress into mirror, into the mirroring yourself into grace itself, through possessing knowledge, which is the robe of might that he describes here. Excuse me, I lost my place there. Okay, here we go. Will you frighten him, the horse with a strong, his fear and dread? He searches out the valley, he trembles and rejoices, and mighty advances towards the sword. He laughs at fear and does not shudder, and does not turn back from the sword. Upon him hangs a lance, a javelin, and a sharp sword. And at the sound of the trumpet he says, Aha! And from afar he smells the battle, and he enjoys the rattle of the weapons and the war cries. Does the hawk get excited because of your wisdom and spread his wings towards the winds? Or does the eagle rise at your order and the bird of prey build its nest on high? It dwells on the rocks and nests. That's second to last one. Build your nest on high. This is where you start to become transformative spirituality. Remember, I always say this at the end of every video. Become that which it is that you seek. Build your nest upon high, upon the gnosis of grace, not on the lower levels of the side of the ridge or the cliff edge. The reworked Pentateuch. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You shall see him. You shall see in peace your death, and upon your eyes. Why should I be bereft of both of you? And Isaac called Rebekah his wife and told her all these words. After Jacob her son and Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take a wife from there. This is just an extract. For those who are biblical will probably understand more of this, but this is all I could grab from this passage because it's very broken. Till thy people, O Lord, pass by, till the people pass by whom thou hast purchased. So this does mean those who is chosen. For me, it's those who choose grace in the real world, because of all humanity chooses grace. If they choose it, so therefore they become chosen. Thou wilt bring them in and plant them on thine own mountain, the place, O Lord, which thou hast made for thine abode, the sanctuary with thy hands have established. The Lord would reign for ever and ever. The Genesis Apocryphon. And that you did see all of them, they will go around, the majority of them will be wicked. And that which you did see, namely that a man came from the south of the land, with a sickle in his hand, and fire with him, who will come from the south of land. And they will cast wickedness on the fire, all, and he shall come between 4 angels between all the nations, and all of them will worship and be confounded. I will explain to you all in truth, and thus it is written concerning you, and I, Noah, awoke from my sleep, and the sun. Again, fragmented here. I think when they mention wicked all the time, this would be, for me, really anyone who's, from a global sense, in the modern mind, if I were translating this, the word wicked, that's used a lot here, those who are wicked. In that mind, this was anyone who was not following the Essene scripture. In today's mind, this would maybe, we could say, those who are lost from grace. But I would not call them wicked. Commentaries on Isaiah. This said the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. You shall be saved by returning and resting. Your strength shall be in silence and trust. But you would not, you said. No, we will flee upon horses and will ride on swift steeds. Therefore your pursuers shall be speedy also. 1,000 shall flee at the threat of one. At the threat of 5 you shall flee till you are left like a flagstaff on top of a mountain, and like a signal on top of a hill. Therefore the Lord waits to be gracious to you. Therefore he exalts himself to have mercy on you. For the Lord is a God of justice. How blessed are all those who wait for him. This saying, referring to the last days, concerns the congregation of those who seek smooth things in Jerusalem. This is the narrative from the author. Who despise the law and do not trust in God. As robbers lie in wait for a man, they have despised the law, the words of the law. Commentary on Nahum. The prowler is not wanting, noise of whip and noise of rattling wheel, prancing horse and jolting chariot, charging horsemen, flame and glittering spear, a multitude of the slain and a heap of carcasses. There is no end to the corpses they stumble upon, their corpses. So the author interprets this as follows. This concerns the dominion of those who seek smooth things, from the midst of those whose assembly the sword of all nations shall never be wanting. Captivity, looting, and burning shall be among them, and exile out of dread for the enemy. A multitude of guilty corpses shall fall in their days. There shall be no end to the sun, some of them were slain. They shall also stumble upon their body of flesh because of their guilty counsel. They shall say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who shall grieve over her? Whence shall I seek comforters for you? Interpreted, this concerns those who seek smooth things, whose counsel shall perish, and whose congregation shall be dispersed. They shall lead the assembly astray no more, and simple shall support their counsel no more. So I think most of this really is talking about those who seek smooth things and lead, and those who pursue them will be laid to waste, in other words. They crumple bodies of lost, spiritual loss behind them. They kind of complex passages. You may or may not agree with the commentary of the author here. Commentary on Habakkuk. This well-preserved and detailed exposition of the first 2 chapters of the book of Habakkuk comes from Cave 1 and was published in 1950. It's one of the main sources for the study of Qumran origins. And it goes on to say, the passages go on to say, so the law is weak and justice never goes forth. Interpreted, this concerns those who have despised the law of God. Behold the nations and see, and be astonished, for I accomplished a deed in 4 days, but you will not believe it when told. Interpreted, the author says, this concerns those who were unfaithful together with the liar, in that they did not listen to the word received by the teacher of righteousness from the mouth of God. And it concerns the unfaithful of the new covenant, in that they have not believed in the covenant of God and have profaned his holy name. And likewise, this saying is to be interpreted as concerning those who will be unfaithful at the end of days. They, the men of violence and breakers of the covenant, will not believe when they hear all that is to happen to the final congregation from the priest, in whose heart God set understanding, that he might interpret all words of his servant and the prophets, through whom he foretold all that would happen to his people and his land. So this is effectively those who follow the covenant and those who do not. For there shall be yet another vision concerning appointed time. It shall tell of the end and shall not lie. Interpreted, this means that the final age shall be prolonged and shall exceed all that the prophets have said, for the mysteries of God are astounding. Well, let's just go through all of this at one time. There is not going to be any end. There's no final end. There never will be a final end to anything. But there can be an end to potentially spiritual loss, the blindness that humanity has to the Father itself. It could be an end to that, or there could be an end to ignorance and blindness of divinity in this infinite cosmos and the origin of all things. This could happen also because, remember, we go through yugas, we go through cycles, we go through energetic cycles. And we are going into a different cycle out of what's known as the Kali Yuga even. where darkness is lifted and it starts to be an unveiling. This is called revelation. This is why we're saying in the time now that this is a time of revelation. It's a time of revelation because we're entering different yugas, different belief systems around the world, be it the Vedic, ascetic, religious. They all have different prophecies and they tend to fit together. The ages of bronze, silver, and gold, and so forth. The Kali Yuga, the Dvapara Yuga, and so forth. They all fit in terms of their cycles. So we're entering in a period of Yuga enlightenment. We're entering into a period of revelation. The end of days. What's the end of days? Could be the end of ignorance, the end of unrighteous behavior, the end of time where there are no boundaries, where our ethics and morality has been degraded. It's a revelation of ourselves to ourselves and of grace to ourselves. Gnosis is enlightenment, and it's also revelation. If it tarries, wait for it shall surely come and shall not be later. Interpreted, this means this concerns the men of truth who keep the law, whose hands shall not slacken in the service of truth when the final age is prolonged. For all the ages of God reach their appointed end, as he determines for them in the mysteries of his wisdom. Give me a second. Okay, I'm just changing the volume here so that I can have, look, it's maximum on the microphone. Do tell me if you cannot hear me correctly on here. I've turned the microphone way up. Shall not your oppressors suddenly arise and your torturers awaken, and shall you not become their prey? Because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the peoples plunder you. Precepts of God to command his chastisement by means of judgment of wickedness. And they inflicted horrors of evil disease and took vengeance upon his body of flesh. And as for that which he said, because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the peoples, but in the last days their riches and booty shall be delivered into the hands of the army of the Kittim being the Romans, for it is they who shall be the remnant of the peoples. Woe to him who build the city with blood and founds a town upon falsehood. Behold, it is not from the Lord of hosts that the people shall labor for fire, and the nations shall strive for naught. Interpreted, this concerns the spouter of lies who led many astray, and that he might build his city of vanity with blood and raise a congregation of deceit, causing many thereby to perform a service of vanity for the sake of its glory, and to be pregnant with works of deceit, that their labor might be for nothing, and that they might be punished with four who vilified and outraged the elect of God. All of this seems to be defining those who followed the spouter of lies, not the leader, the one that was chosen to start the Essenes community and dictate the true interpretations of the laws of Moses. But it's this one who splintered off and founded his own interpretation, which was then deemed lies, and others went to follow him. Similar to what happened to the Buddha. For as the waters cover the sea, so shall the earth be filled with knowledge of the glory of the Lord. Interpreted, this means that when they return, and afterwards, knowledge shall be revealed to them abundantly like the waters of the sea. Of what use is an idol that its maker should shape it a molten image, a fatling of lies? For the craftsman puts his trust in his own creation when he makes dumb idols. Interpreted, this saying concerns all idols of all the nations which they make, so that they may serve and worship them, but they shall not deliver them on the day of judgment. I think this has a lot of truth in it. Humanity makes a lot of idols, but does not truly understand what those idols represent, because they're many thousands of years of age of historical creation. But they have meaning, but they are not the true gods. They are expressions of fractals of the one. They're expressions of elements, of things even in this material world. They're actually sometimes expressions of what people seek in the material world. But they are not gods. They are not the all. And the issue here in this passage, in what it's trying to express, is that people mold idols, but they then confuse their minds into believing that is the God, and then they worship that thing, that effigy. Commentary on Malachi. This document reproduces Malachi, followed by the beginning of its interpretation. Then those fearing the Lord spoke with one another, and beaded and beard them, and book of memorial was written before him of those who feared the Lord and thought of his name. They shall be mine, says the Lord of hosts, my special possession on the day when I act, and I will spare them as a man spares his son and his serves and who serves him. Then once more you shall distinguish between the righteous and the wicked, between one who serves God and one who does not serve him. Commentary on the Psalms. In Cave 1 has preserved a few scraps of commentary on Psalms, version 11. Most of them are too small for a coherent translation, and the bulk of the texts are devoted to Psalms, in which the destiny of the just and the wicked. So it's the Psalm, I don't know which one that is, but let's go for this. Relent from anger and abandon wrath. Do not be angry. It tends only to evil, for wicked shall be cut off. Interpreted, this concerns all those who return to the law, to those who do not refuse to turn away from their evil. For those who are stubborn in turning away from the iniquity shall be cut off. Next passage. But those who wait for the Lord shall possess the land. Interpreted, this means this is a congregation of his elect who do his will. And those who love the Lord shall be like the pride of pastures. Interpreted, this concerns the congregation of his elect, who shall be leaders and princes of the flock among their herds. And the steps of the man are confirmed by the Lord, and he delights in all his ways. This word, I would say, is your pre-planned life intention. This is your intention. This is the steps of man are confirmed by the Lord. This, for me, is your intention in life. You know when you're following the path that was intended for you, that you intended for yourself. When you find it, you know it. And this is the path, and it delights on all his ways. Well, there is delight in that path once you follow it. You shall not stumble. He shall not fall, for the Lord supports his hand. Interpreted, the author states, this concerns the priest, the teacher of righteousness, whom God chose to stand before him, for he established him to build for himself the congregation. So this also interpreted the way I've just mentioned it for yourself. This is not just for the teacher of righteousness, the chosen, the person who will establish the true word of the law of Moses, as the Essenes said they were doing. But this is also for yourself. The steps of your own path are confirmed by the Lord, because you confirmed it your intention by the Father before you came. There is delight in its ways, because once you're on there, you cannot ever stumble. The path is laid before you as long as you follow that path and you stay true and just to it. Then there's only contentment and peace along its path and at the very end. The righteous shall possess the land and dwell upon it forever. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of God in his heart, his steps will not slip. Wait for the Lord and keep to his way, and he will exalt you to possess the land. You will look on the destruction of the wicked. Interpreted, it concerns who will see judgment of wickedness, and with his elect will rejoice in the heritage of truth. Okay, mark the blameless man and behold the upright, for there is posterity for the man of peace. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. Interpreted, concerns God will save them and deliver them from the wicked. This is the same for anyone who opens the book of knowledge and gnosis within you and follows the path that ultimately we all intended ourselves. Vain is it you to rise early and lie down late. You shall eat the bread of toil, but he shall feed those who love him in their sleep. Interpreted is that they shall seek the teacher of righteousness, priest at the end of the age. So what does this really mean? Well, you're not seeking the teacher of righteousness. At the end of the age, you will always seek the path of grace. This is what this is really saying. No matter what distractions and alternative paths we take, lifetime after lifetime for an eternity, at the very, very end of your own end, you will always, 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 always end up moving back to grace. You'll always seek the path to grace and the Father, always. It's an inevitability for all, even those who have sold their souls utterly and completely to the dark left, as it were, spiritually. The perverted and distorted ways that are incomprehensible to the mind and the heart of those who express love. Okay, Testimonia of Messianic Anthology. This short document from K4, the first group consists of 2 texts from Deuteronomy, referring to the prophet similar to Moses. And the second is an extract from the prophecy of Balaam about the royal Messiah. And the third is the blessing of the Levites and implicity of the priest Messiah. He took up his discourse and said, Oracle of Balaam, son of Beor, oracle of man whose eye is penetrating, oracle of him who has heard the words of God, who knows the wisdom of the Most High and sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls and his eyes are opened. I see, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. He shall crush the temples of Moab and destroy all the children of Seth. Well, the only bit here I will say is I see, but not now. I behold him, but not near. Well, I see, but not now means the eternal path to gnosis is eternal and infinite. You can never truly, fully see. And you can behold, but again, the passage to the Father is unending, and therefore it will always not seem near. But it will be near, and you will see, but it'll be always sufficient to satisfy where you are at that moment. But the passage is always continual to see and continuing to be near. The Heavenly Prince, Melchizedek. This is the day of peace and salvation concerning the God who spoke through Isaiah the prophet, who said, How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who proclaims peace, who brings good news, who proclaims salvation, who says to Zion, Your Elohim reigns. Its interpretation. So the Elohim, I'm not going to go into the alternative thoughts of Elohim. The Yahweh, the Elohim, this God of the Judaic faith, this vengeful one, the one that cast and created the great flood, supposedly. Whatever this is, for me, and you may have different opinion, and different thoughts, different expressions in your heart and soul. This is not the all. This is not the grace and the Father that I know. This is something else. I don't deny its existence, but all I will say, this is something else. Its interpretation, the mountains are the prophets, and the messenger is the anointed one of the Spirit, concerning whom Daniel said, Until anointed one a prince, and he who brings good news, who proclaims salvation. It is concerning him that it is written, to comfort all who mourn, its interpretation to make them understand all the ages. In truth, we'll turn away from Belial by the judgments of God, and it is written concerning him who says, Zion, your Elohim reigns. Zion, those who uphold the covenant, who return from walking in the way of people, and your Elohim is Melchizedek, who will save them from the hand of Belial. As for that which he said, then you shall send abroad the trumpet in all the land. Well, there's 2 interpretations here. This is talking about Elohim being Melchizedek, and the Zion being the practicing of the law of Moses, which is basically gnosis and finding Zion within yourself, which is the place of grace. So this could be true. Elohim, however, has been interpreted many times by other people as being actual beings. So, it could be 2 things, if you wish. And finally, in this biblical interpretation, katane, or interpretation of biblical text on the last days. The connecting theme is eschatology, with the praise at the end of days appearing half a dozen times. The congregation of seekers of smooth things, men of Belial, interpreter of the law, sons of light. So this pervades a lot of the passages we read. The passages are the interpretation of the saying concerns the purifying of the heart of men, to try them and refine them, by the Spirit and the pure and the purified. As for that which he said, lest the enemy say, I have prevailed over him. They are the congregation of seekers of smooth things. Smooth things is gnosis, seeker of Father, the grace itself. Smooth things is the path. When you're on the path, your life becomes a smooth thing. Until they seek to destroy by their jealousy and hostility the interpretation of his word concerns, which is written in the book of Ezekiel and the prophet. So for me, this would mean the seekers of by jealousy and hostility. Well, this is just a mockery of those who do not follow path, do not believe in anything greater than themselves and their physical selves. You'll often find people always feel they're spiritual or they feel they have godliness in some, but they are expressing utterly and completely the physical matrix of the earth. But they have effigies around their homes because they're not truly able to understand why they have them, but they have them there because it gives them some comfort or some notion that they're still holding onto grace. Now, but they're holding on to arrogance and ego and virtuousness and self-righteousness. It's palpable in so many. I see it all around. The true nature of it is that not many are brave enough to truly follow the passage of grace, but they'll have many effigies around them and symbols, do rituals and ceremonies. This is where I mentioned before on the very last passage, I've got a very last page here. It becomes virtuous. It's not transformative because it's not truly the self. It becomes virtuous and self-righteous, and often the practice is because they want something. They wish to do a good deed or do some kind of symbolic sacrifice, some charitable act, because they feel, well, if I do this, then I will receive something that I ask for. This is not the passage to grace. This is merely playing with forces of universes and the laws of the universe, energetic laws of reciprocation. This is not transformative spirituality. This is not moving your soul, your heart, your mind as a trinity through the shaft of the body into the spirit of light, which is the breath of the Father. That is transformative. That is you. That is when you express it in every action, word, thought, and intention. This is the second coming. This is the revelation. This is the enlightenment. This is the time. Passages of enlightenment and revelation pass. It doesn't mean that just because we are in a time of enlightenment of Aquarius, or however we wish to call it, mean that you're suddenly going to elevate. This is absolute, utter nonsense propagated by New Age philosophy. You have to become it yourself. You have to take effort. You have to understand truth and reality and the brutal realities of what universal law is. And you have to, first of all, like many will not, utter and say that there is my Father. There is a Father, there is an all, there is a gross, there is a source, there is an absolute one, a Godhead. Not some pool of consciousness like everyone seems to say, and always avoid what they need to say. Until one is brave enough to say, there is a Father, my Father, in prayer and in verse openly, then the passage has not really begun. Because until we recognize that there is an all and remove your effigies aside because you do not need it, or understand what their purpose is, then the journey hasn't really started. We cannot con our way to grace. We cannot fool our souls. Our mind is yet only a minuscule thing. It has no relevance. We think we can do and fool and cajole and mask. But the soul is a reflection. It'll always be the trueness. And it'll be lost, or it'll be moving towards the right path, or it'll be moving to the left of darkness. That's a choice we make, but it has to be transformative. I cannot stress this more. Make sure you're true to yourself in the passage that you follow. Make sure you continue to move forward and not stay on any particular stone. Open oneself to the Father's wisdom, to the gnosis of the book. The energetic pages will open and veil themselves unto you if you ask. Ask in prayer, listen in meditation, be silent, but practice in every action, word, thought, and intention. Be good to yourself, have a shaft of strength in your spine, but the humility and softness of your heart to others and yourself, above all yourself, and move forward. Walk on the path privately, personally, and as much and in all actions, words, thoughts, and intentions in your outward professional life in the external world. And if you cannot, just walk by. This is my advice on this video. So I want to say thank you for everyone for listening. I appreciate it. And I'm going to just put the camera back on there. Yeah, thank you for listening to this. I truly appreciate it. It's important that you guys, for the time you guys spend on this, because sometimes my videos go over an hour. As I said, the next video is going to be the last one, Dead Sea Scrolls. The next is going to really be, they're going to be my own channel videos. They're going to be wisdom that's coming from myself. I may use extracts. I may use elements of some of the scriptures we've gone through. I may even bring in other books, the Bible, which I may read. I may even read The Secret of All Ages and bring some of that in. But I'm going to be predominantly doing my own videos, and I'm going to be starting to share what is going into the next book with you all. So, hope you find the future videos interesting. The next video will be the end of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for your time. God bless you all. Thank you.